Today I am going to review a product that I purchased from Harbor Freight. So recently Harbor Freight has been coming out with products that are a little more expensive. The quality looks a little better, so I thought I'd give it a shot. So what I have here is the Hercules, what is it, 8-piece carbide tip Forstner bit. Look just like this. If you guys are aware, Forstner bits in general tend to be a little bit spendy, and especially the carbide version. I paid $34.99. Actually, I paid less. That's their list price. I bought it on sale. I believe I paid $30. So if you compare that to other products on the market, that's a very good price, so long as it's a good product. So let's get into it. We're going to drill a few different pieces of wood. Obviously, we're not going to, well, I shouldn't say obviously, you could do it. I'm not going to be drilling thousands of pieces. These bits are something that, I paid for this out of my own pocket. So I'm going to basically be looking at them and how they're performing right out of the gate. If they're cutting well from the jump, they're probably going to perform better than high-speed steel, because high-speed steel just doesn't wear that well, especially if you hit a nail or something. So let's get in. All right, guys. So for starters, this is what you get with the set. Comes in a wooden box. The box is a little bit cheesy. It'd be nice if it just pivoted out, but we're talking about something that's fairly inexpensive for what you're getting. So I'm not going to complain too much about that at that price point. Has a little latch. Again, that latch is a little cheesy. Doesn't work especially well, but it gets the job done, and I can't emphasize enough the price point. By comparison, I would like to mention Grizzly Forstner bits. So they have a carbide set that is 5 pieces. It comes in 1/2 inch through 1 3/8 inch. It is at a price of $51.95. So by comparison, with the Hercules bits being 8 pieces and this being 5 pieces, it's going to be about half the price. The Hercules being half the price of the Grizzly. And then we have, so those were carbide. And then we have Freud high-speed steel bits. These come in a size of 1/4 inch through 1 inch. It's made up of 7 pieces, and the cost is $61.13. So long as these Hercules bits cut nice and cleanly from the jump, I'm going to say that the Hercules bits are a better value than either of these two, especially the high-speed steel bits. Being that high-speed steel does not last as long as carbide. So I'm just going to drill some holes. I'm going to be using white oak. That's a hardwood, but the grain, white oak is not open grain, but it's I don't know what the right word for it is, but it's kind of grainy. The grains tend to tear out if you don't have a sharp bit. So we'll see how well it performs in that. This is a poplar. Poplar is a soft wood, not as soft as pine. Closed cell, so maybe a little less prone to tearing out. But being a softer wood, softer fibers tend to tear, and pine. So if anything is going to tear, it is going to be the pine. I would like to think that something like walnut or cherry are going to be a little less prone to tearing out than any of these. So that's why I chose these woods. So let's bring it over to the drill press. I'm just going to use one drill bit, and I'm going to drill 1 hole in each piece of wood using the same bit. Probably start with the softest wood. I don't think it's going to make a difference. It's not going to dull that fast. And if it cuts a nice clean hole from the jump, I'm going to say we've got a good value at $30. So here we have a piece of pine. I'm going to drill a hole through the pine. I'm going to proceed slowly because just about anything we use is going to be prone to blowing out in the back. It is unsupported. The sharper that bit is, the less it's going to blow out, of course. But you apply a bunch of pressure to it and it will blow out. The drill press is actually going to be running at really low RPM. I have it set up for drilling steel. It's 300 RPM. I'm going to say that we are actually going to make it more prone to having tear out that way. My GoPro camera shut off for some reason mid hole, so I'm going to go ahead and drill another hole. This one I'm going to leave shy of the bottom. So we can look here, both of these holes, the entrance is very clean. The bottom of the hole is as I think it should be. You know, it's not perfectly smooth, but generally you're not going to be looking at the bottom of that hole anyhow. You do have some torn fibers on the side. This is pine, it's super soft. But, you know, the entrance to the hole, super clean, and that's what we want to see. And even on the hole where we drilled through, we really didn't have the fibers torn that badly. So far on the first piece of wood, I'm very pleased. This next piece of wood, so we'll do the same thing now. We'll just go ahead and drill 2 holes. First one I'll drill through, the second one we will not. This piece of wood was used previously, and actually those pieces there were from pocket holes, so that's not even torn fiber. So I might need to do a second test on this particular one. Again, a very nice, clean entrance cut. The bottom there is a little less, a little more smooth than the pine. And I think it's just because poplar is a harder wood. So we're going to have nicer results. I'll go ahead and stick it back in there. I'm going to line it up and just finish that hole. So right there we have some, we have a little bit of torn fiber there and there, but not too bad, you know, for unsupported piece of wood. If I was actually going to drill a through hole on something like this, I'd always stick another piece of wood directly behind it. So not too bad, but you know, what I'm really looking at is the clean entrance. And I haven't mentioned yet, but so far this thing is cutting through this wood like butter. So now we have a piece of oak, and I think everyone knows that oak is significantly harder than both pine and poplar. So it'll probably cut just as clean as the others, but if it's dull, it's going to take more effort. And so far neither one has really given me any resistance. So there's no doubt I had to press a little harder. The through hole that we just drilled, there's a few blown fibers on the back. This side of the wood wasn't actually planed, but not much. Which again, when you don't have it supported on the back, that's not surprising at all. So far, these holes are drilling very easily. Clean entrance. Number one reason in my book for using a Forstner bit is a clean entrance. You don't want a bunch of torn fibers coming into it. And a flat bottom. So oftentimes we want a flat bottom. So a nice clean bottom. Sides very clean on both of these holes. Very little tear out. So as expected, I had to press a little harder, but you know, you'd have to be a fool to think that you wouldn't have to press a little harder on oak versus pine, but drilling very nice and clean, and not excessive pressure. I've used many a dull Forstner bits, and this is not a dull bit. This is a nice sharp bit. I do not doubt that it does not match up to premium bits. I don't have a bunch of money to go out and blow on premium drill bits to test it, but I'm going to tell you, for what you're paying for this, you know, just comparing it to a Freud high-speed steel bit, I think we're doing pretty well. I'm very happy with it so far. After completely making the video on these carbide drill bits, I started examining the bits closely, and I found a chip on one of the bits. It's the 1 3/8 bit. I don't know if we're going to actually see it in the camera here. It's right there. So I don't know. I don't know if that was on there before or if it happened during use. So I've decided to take the 7/8 bit because I see that as being one of the least common bits that I'll use. And I'm going to drill, I think, 45 holes into 2 inches of oak. And the piece of oak is a little thicker than that. I'm not going to drill through holes. I'm going to leave it about 3/8 shy of going through. So a hair over 2 inches. It'll be the equivalent of drilling close to, I'd say, 100 holes in a 3/4 inch board. Being oak, that's a harder wood. You know, this will give us a pretty good assessment as to how well these bits will hold up, I hope. Drilled all the holes. As you can see, those are deep holes. Not exactly a parallel piece of wood. This is something I cut out with a chainsaw. These are the last holes. So right there at the edge, you did get a touch of blowout. But you know, being right on the edge like that, that's not too surprising. But most of these holes are pretty clean. Could they be cleaner? Maybe they could be a little cleaner. But I find it acceptable, especially at the price point. I went ahead and drilled a hole after I was done in a piece of pine, still cutting cleanly around the hole there, so no tear out. And then I drilled a 5/8 hole with a bit that I hadn't even used yet. It performed actually not as well. I'm not sure, feed rate does matter, if you force it in there. Some of these way over here, you'll see it's all torn up. That's because I was lazy and didn't clamp it down over the first few holes. But once I started clamping it down, because you got to back the bit out and put it back in, it was pretty clean. And I'm not noticing any deterioration in the hole quality as we went along. So I think that chipped edge was probably somewhat of a fluke, or maybe it came that way, I guess is what I'm saying. So this is the bit I used, 7/8, and I did not see any chips on the carbide of that blade. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this or not, but I examined it closely and could not see any chips. So I think we're good there. All right, guys, in closing, so even with the one bit that came just a touch, with a chip on the the cutting edge, the blade or the bit still cut well. So not that big of a deal. Obviously, we want it to come as it should. That's probably something you could even get them to replace if you open up the package and see that to be the case. The price point, I think, very good, especially compared to other products out there. The Grizzly Forstner bit set being $51.95 for a 5-piece set versus the $34.99 that you're going to pay for the Hercules. And keep in mind that you can get the Hercules frequently on sale, and possibly a Grizzly too. So a much better value. I don't know that the carbides are comparable. And then just compare it to some some premium high-speed steel. So the Freud high-speed steel 7-piece set, $61.13. It's significantly cheaper than that as well. So I would definitely buy this product again, for sure. If you're a cabinet shop or something, buy premium. I'm sure that's what makes sense. But as the hairy homeowner, the guy who makes stuff here and there, we don't have deep pockets. We want a full shop. I think this is a good place to save money. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Hope to see you next time.